Hi everyone, Emma here. I'm so excited to show you finally how to make this flat chenille curving. I don't know what you would call it, but it kind of curves, so I think we'll call it that. I did show this in an earlier video, like at the beginning of summer, and I apologize for not getting to it, but I'll tell you, one of the reasons why I didn't do the video right away is because I was trying to figure out a clasp to go with it, and I just feel like this design is so awesome that you need the right type of clasp. So wait till you see what I came up with. So I have these beautiful clamshell, not, what do they call them? Not hiders or keepers or something like that. So I thought we'd do something like that. So I'll show you how to do that at the end. But in the meantime, let's talk about this curved situation going on here. So this was kind of a happy accident. I like to try different beads and size beads and different color beads with a design that's like a traditional design, so flat chenille. So here is flat chenille. Now this again is, I can do a video on this one. This again is a switch up from the regular flat chenille. With flat chenille, the big thing with it is you have to have two sizes of beads. So in some of the earlier videos, I did 8/0 bead, which would be these like the bigger bead. And then you need an 11/0 bead in between those 8/0 beads. So that gave you, let me grab it. I have it right here. Let's see if I have one that's finished, that's not all full of threads. So that would be this design. So you can see how different this to this is. And for this one, I use the 1.8 millimeter cubes, Miyuki cubes that I got from John Bead. And this is what we're going to use, is these cubes from John Bead. So there it is. They are Miyuki square cube beads, 1.8 millimeter. And this is fire galvanized fire. Yeah, I don't know if that's, I mean, it says that's what it is, so I'm assuming that's what it is. I'm calling it gold, just because that's what it looks like to me. But I'll take a look and see if there's any other variations of the gold. Because let me tell you, so I bought mine on Amazon from the craft shop here in Canada. And you can get these cube beads in smaller quantities. So these were bags, 250 gram bags. They're like bulk factory packs. But you can get them in 20 gram tubes at whatever bead store you usually shop at. So if you're in the States, places like Shipwreck Beads, Art Beads, they have them there. So I would say, I haven't checked how they sell them at those places for quantity, but for this bracelet here, and I mention it because I get a lot of questions about this, how many grams did you need to make your bracelet? Now this bracelet fits me, which I have under a 6-inch wrist. So let's show you what that looks like. Isn't that amazing? So this fits my wrist entirely. Now you're gonna end up with a clasp, so I like it kind of loose anyway, but this was 12 grams. Now I measured it after it was made, so it might be 10 grams if you take out the 50 no seed beads and these pieces here of the findings. So that can give you an idea of how much you need. So I would highly recommend, if you are buying some, make sure you have 20 grams to make a bracelet for your size wrist. So that's what the point I wanted to make with those. Now I'll just quickly show you the different color beads that I have. So this one here is white pearl opaque luster, and it's so gorgeous. And I made this one with it. So what I did too was I tried to test which beads would create this curving. So these are Miyuki 11Os in there. So the idea is when you're doing flat chenille, you should have a bead size that's big enough from your first bead, so your 8O bead, to your 11O bead. There should be a big enough difference that it creates this flat look. But if your beads are closer in size together, this is what's going to happen. So that's how this happened. Now, like I said, this one is a little looser. Now, I think I did try to make it loose purposely. I usually work with a very tight weave, so this one was tighter, and you can see how beautiful it keeps its shape. Like, I didn't have to do anything, that just happened. So there's that one. And just to mention again, this one here, this I use the same cube size, the 1.8 cube with 15 O's, and it gave me flat. So if I'd have used 11 O's, this is what I would have. So you can see the big difference. This is still gorgeous, and the pattern is just stunning. So I might show this one in a finished project, but let's put that aside and put this one aside and this aside. I'm showing all my stuff. Oh, we're not done yet. We'll get to it. So I wanted to just test out these beads that I got from John Bead. They sent me a box full of goodies, and these Permalux dyed chalk pink. I'm not done drooling over them, so I thought, what else can I make with these guys? And look at, oh, it's like a Barbie bracelet. And I have something that I thought I might put on it, but then when I got it out, I realized it's too big. So I may end up doing a smaller one, but this was the first attempt at a Barbie medallion. You can see how big it is. It's way too big. But maybe if I did a little one. Or maybe do the writing Barbie. That would be awesome. So, like I said, show and tell today. But this design is so much fun that I just can't help myself. So then I tried this one with these lovely... So I wanted to test out Tohos. So with the Tohos, it has the same effect, only even more, because the Tohos are a little bigger than check beads, but it still worked really well. So that's that one there. Let's put those aside and let's get started. So what we're going to need, we'll put this one aside too. You're going to need some thread. Use whatever thread you use. It's not like it, you can use Nymo or 1G or other threads that you like to use. I used the green size 6, and it works really well. So we're going to need, of course, your Miyuki 1.8 fire, galvanized fire cube beads. Let's put some of those out. And what I'm going to do is, normally I do a sample and I show you, you know, a couple of rows beyond the explanation, just so you get used to seeing what it looks like. For this one, what I want to do is I will probably do this many rows, which is, I think I counted 18 rows. And the reason I want to do this is I don't want you to stress out if you're trying this, because until I got to about here, this was all flat. So it looked like the flat chenille. But once you get past a certain point, it starts to curve, like you can see here. And curve from side to side as well, like this. So we'll do that. And for this one here, I used these beads. So the color of the bead matched the cubes, and I don't know what this color is. It was just when I bought them a long time ago. They were called gold. This was my first bulk purchase of 11O seed beads. So let's move those aside. And then these are the 15s. And this was from my first purchase as well. So we'll put those aside. We have these. I'm gonna try these gold metallic. You see they have a more orangey color. So I was hoping to get a little more pop from the 11Os. That's probably enough there. You're gonna need, you can use a size 10 or a size 12, whatever you feel comfortable with. I've got a stop bead. I did take a wingspan of the thread, and I'm gonna bring my stop bead to the bottom. I'm gonna leave enough to sew through or weave through at the end. So go through the bottom of that stop bead and pull your thread through like that, and you're set to go. So let me move these up a bit, and you're going to start same as flat chenille. So if you're having a hard time seeing because these colors look a lot alike, go back to my first video on flat chenille. It's very easy to follow, but we'll go again anyway. So you're gonna need 5 sets, and this is what I mean by a set. So a set is one of the larger beads, one of the smaller beads, one of the larger beads. You're gonna need 5 of these to start. So let's pick up a cube, an 11O, a cube, that's 1. A cube, an 11O, a cube, that's 2. A cube, an 11O, a cube, that's 3. A cube, an 11O, a cube, that's 4. A cube, an 11O, and a cube, that's 5. So this is what you should have on your needle, and let's enlarge this. And keep moving up. I want to make sure I'm in the middle of the screen. Sometimes if I change how big how focused in I am, you can't see my hands. They're down below. So let's take a look at this. There's 1 set, 2 sets, 3, 4, and 5. Bring that down to the bottom where your stop bead is, like that. Now we're going to come back down, and we're going to weave through these beads. So let's see if we can do this so you can see. And you know what? I need some of these over here. Grab this one. I don't like my beads commingling. I'm obsessed. So pick up a cube. Do you have a cube? So if I can give you any hints for this flat chenille, and I have gotten a lot of comments where people were really excited that I explained it in a way that they could figure it out, because I had a really hard time doing flat chenille. I gave up on doing it, and then finally one day I was like, I need to figure this out. This makes no sense. So when you're starting, what you need to look at is you kind of want to mirror what you already have on your line. So if you look, my first bead is a cube, so I'm going to pick up a cube. Now the whole weave works on the idea, let me just quickly explain this, and it might help you to go through the whole thing. So on one row we're going to go through a combined small bead, these little 11Os, and then on the other one, the other row, we're going to add sets of 2 cubes. So you're going to do that back and forth, but it doesn't quite work out on the ends. So the ends are a little different, but I'll show you that and make it easy to understand. But if you can just remember, you're gonna always mirror what you have on the previous row. So if I have 2 cubes, then I'm gonna add 2 cubes. And you're always gonna combine your 11 O's, your tinier bead, and your tinier bead is always going to be alternate. So you're going to go one there, one there, one there, one there, and back and forth, and that creates this kind of zigzag pattern. So let's get to it. I know sometimes it's a bit of TMI, but if it helps anybody to get it kind of sink in your mind, then it's worth it. So here we go with our cube. So we're gonna skip the cube and we're gonna go through the 11O. So I'm just gonna grab that like that, pull that down, and this is what you're gonna have. And I still feel we need more enlargement. Okay, so this is what I'm saying about mirroring now. We're gonna put 2 cubes on. So let's grab 2 cubes and we're going to skip those cubes. We're going to go through the 11O like this. It's kind of like peyote stitch, only you alternate each row. So there's that one there. So now we're coming out of this 11O. We're going to add 2 cubes. And I'm just going to go slow for the beginning. If you've seen the other videos and you've done flat chenille, then you know you can move on to the next section. So now I've got my 2 cubes. I'm going to go through the 11O. Skip the cubes that are on there. Pull your thread through. I'm just going to flip those. The thread got tangled here. Well, that's not friendship. There. Usually I have my hand on it so it doesn't do that. So let's get that nice and tight. This part is kind of hard. It's a bit flippy floppy, so just bear with me here. Okay, so that's what you have so far. So we're coming out of this 11O. We're going to pick up 2 cubes and go through the next 11O. I will hang on to my beads this time. So like that. There. And pull that tight. So my I'm just going to pull tight on the stop bead to get the correct tension. So you do want tension on this. Not like crazy super tight, but enough that you know you're pulling tight. So you're coming out of that 11O, you're going to pick up 2 cubes and you're going to go through the next 11O. And actually you can go through the cube and just ignore that other bead. That's my stop bead. I should have used a different color. Like that. So this is what you have so far. So now you're coming out of a cube, and like I said before, you want to mirror what you have. So we're going to add another cube. We're going to go through this 11O. We're going to go through the 1 cube because now we want to start splitting these open with the 11Os in here. So let's grab a cube. Just grab hold of my thread here like that. So there's my cube. So I'm going to go through the 11O and through the next cube. Pull that tight. Like that. You're going to pick up an 11O. You're going to go through the next cube. You're going to skip that lower 11O and go through the next cube, which is the first cube in the set. So remember, we're going to add a seed bead and an 11O in between each of these sets of cubes. So pick up an 11-0, go through those 2 cubes like that, and you start to see the pattern shape up. So you go through the 2 cubes, but you're skipping that lower 11-0, and make sure your 11-0 pops into the 2 cubes like this. So this is our last one here. Pick up an 11-0. So our thread is coming out in between those 2 cubes. So now you want to go through the cube, so the next cube, and we're going to go through the following cube. And again, you're bypassing that 11-0 that's kind of on the lower row anyway. So let's just make sure that's not hooked. And you see how it's just sitting there? This is what I mean by popping it in. Pop it in there. And that's what's going to create your tension. You can kind of see the curve happening already. So, like that. So now, like I said, the ends are a bit different, and it's almost like it's odd count peyote in the sense that instead of just adding your beads, you kind of have to go loop around another time. So we're coming out of here. We're going to go back through those 2. Now, you could essentially just go through this seed bead. If you want to do that, you can. It has the same result. I do feel like going through these end pieces gives it a little more structure, but that's up to you if you want to take that step. So like that. So now we're going to go through the 2 we just added, and you can go through the 11-0 next to it like that, and pull tight. Now we're going to mirror what's there. We're going to add 2 cubes in between all of these 11-0s. So pick up 2 cubes, go through the 11-0. Once you have a bit of, bracelet to hang on to, this becomes really fast and kind of, you don't have to think about it too much, which is really nice. Because I've done designs like other people's designs where every step you have to pause and look at the video. I mean, it's worth it for some beautiful designs, but sometimes it's like, I just want to sit here and bead. Okay, so now we're at the end again. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through those 2 cubes, ignore that 11-0. Let me see if I can grab it here. And if you can't get through both of them at once, you can go through them separately. I think that went through there. Like that. Bring it through. And, oops, I think that hooked on my beadwork. Yeah. There we go. It wasn't that tight that I needed it. Artificial curve. Okay. And I'm going to pull this stop bead. It's got loose there. Okay. So now this row is almost finished, but you can see we're missing 2 beads here. So that's why we went through these 2. We're going to add our last 2 beads to that row. So go through those 2 again, like that. Those in there. So now we have all sets of cubes all the way up. So it's time to put an 11-0 bead, and you can see if we follow the pattern of this kind of zigzag, you have a seed bead here, one here. That means we need one here. There, like that. So go through the first cube. That. I'm taking a lot of time in explaining this process here, but in a few rows, and actually pretty soon now we're going to just keep going, and you'll just see the process of the curve happening. So keep adding seed bead in between those two, so you're going to go through the last one in that set and the first one in the next set, and your needle will go through both, so you don't have to do it in separate steps. Pick up your 11-0, you're in between these two, go through this cube here and then through the next cube, ignoring the lower seed bead. And make sure it pops the cube open, and go through here and through this one, in between those two cubes, like that. Just make sure that's, there we go, popped it in, and our last one, there's two there, 11-0 in between, like that. This is what you have so far. So now we're going to add a cube on this side, go through the 11-0, like that. Then we're going to put sets of 2 cubes in between all those 11-0s. 2 cubes, 11-0, 2 cubes, 11-0. I need to fix this. Sometimes when you put too much of a tail on the other side of your needle, the end starts to curl around. So let me adjust this. There we go, that's better. Let's see, 2 cubes. The other thing too is this goes a lot faster if you're doing it yourself. You're not doing it on camera, and you're turning it. So I would not usually bead coming from the top. I would just flip this every time. So now I'm coming from the bottom, just like that. Goes a lot faster. The thread got hooked there. And it doesn't usually hook this much. It never fails when you're doing a video. It's like, you know, thread has a mind of its own. Okay, so I picked up, if you look here closely, we're going to put a seed bead between these sets of 2 cubes. So if you look, try to imagine these as either triangles this way, like diamond shapes, or little kind of flower star patterns. So if you look here, we're missing the 4th part of, say, this little flower pattern. So pick up an 11-0 or a 1.8 cube. You know what? This is why you have to go through the other beads. Let me just take this off my needle here for a sec. So I'm coming out of, I just added these 2. I'm coming out of the 11-0. I need to go through here. There's nowhere to attach my cube to. There's nothing here. So you have to go through this. And you know what? This part actually helps curve it too. And I'll tell you, I didn't explain this to you at the beginning, is with regular chenille, let me show you. With flat chenille, you have these accent beads. We don't have the accent beads on this design. where's the, I'll show you the flat one. I skipped it. So what we're doing is we're just going straight across. You can see the thread. I think that's the main reason why we add little accent beads to, you know, cover the thread. But on something like this, you don't see it. And you can see on this one too. I mean, you can just barely see it, but you know what? When it's on your wrist, you can't see it. It's actually facing your skin because of the curve. So, but the fact that you don't have that accent as well, the distance between the beads is shorter, which causes it to curve as well. TMI, right? TMI, Emma, keep going. You're getting there. So there's my cube. I'm coming out of the other cube. I'm going to go through the 11-0 and through the first cube in the first set of 2 cubes. So I can add my seed bead. Like that. Oh, that's a cube. It's in the wrong pile. So I'm adding the 11-0s in between the sets of cubes. Like that. And you can see how flat this is. So it's interesting. When I did the first one, I didn't realize what was happening. And then when it started curving, I was like, what did I do wrong? So then I'm like, wait a minute, this looks really good. This is one of these happy accidents. So then when I went back to recreate it, I have a bunch of little samples that I did. I'm like, why is it not curving? So finally, I just took the one that worked really well, and I just took the same beads, and I realized what it was. The first, say, 15 to 16 rows, you don't get anything. You don't, I mean, you could press it into the shape, but that was not the idea. And then once I got past that 18th row, I realized that's what's happening. So 2 cubes, I'm going to go back through the 2 cubes here, like that. And then through the cubes, through the 11-0, and start adding some cubes to this one. There. I can feel that curving. Look. So, cube. There used to be a video game called Cubies, and it was like a, you know, just one of those lame video games. Of course, me and my wife were playing it all the time. And it would say, Cubies together. You had to match the cubes together, and then it would all fall apart. So I used to say to her all the time, Cubies together. You know, it's funny. She still plays video games on her tablet. I have not played video games on my tablet since I started my channel. And I think about, like, I kept trying to figure out why I wasn't playing video games. And I'll tell you, this is bad. This is shopping bad. I look at shopping for beads like it's a video game. There's like a goal that I set, like how much beads can I get for a very little amount of money. Don't tell Jen that. She'd be like, you need to find a video game to amuse yourself with. Oh gosh. So big news. I just got a letter yesterday from the main hospital in Halifax for a stress test which they use the dye, I'm trying to think, radioactive dye to see. Oh, look, I put 2 beads on there. Let me see if I can get through here without taking it off my needle. There. Yeah, so I got the letter, so I'm pretty glad. That's supposed to happen in September. But I was reading the letter. 6 hours it takes So I guess, oh, and no eating or drinking before. Now, thank goodness it's first thing in the morning, so that should be not too bad. But no caffeine. I'm such a caffeine junkie. So I'll have a headache. I know I will. Maybe what I should do is try and go a few days ahead of time, reducing the amount of caffeine so it's not as bad. But first thing we leave the hospital, I'll be like, give me the largest coffee you can find. So I'm just gonna keep going and show you where it's curving. So again, I flipped it around, go through that, put my cubes on, like that. I'm still waiting for an appointment for the injection into the SI joint. I'm struggling to walk, and 2 weeks ago I fell down the stairs, and yesterday I was at the gym in the locker room after I had my shower, and I was sitting on the bench and I went to stand up and I fell like right on my butt and twisted my arm, and because the leg is weak and it's giving way. Like, I can't tell when it's going to happen, it just happens. So I think my strategy for that, if I don't hear anything in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to convince my family doctor to refer me to the orthopedic surgeon. And I'm sure the surgeon's going to say we should really try the injection first before we approach it with surgery. And they're going to be able to order it faster than a medical doctor. So hopefully that'll work. But I'm doing good. My foot is doing really well. I've been cycling, so that's awesome. But yeah, so summer's coming along. I can't believe it's already almost the end of August. That went through that CB. There we go. So this one I had to go through it twice. There. Now we're going to pick up 2 cubes and run through a second time. Like that. So again, you can go this way and go straight through to the 11-0. I like to secure it a little bit like that, and then you pull it tight. I'm going to flip this, and you can see it's already starting to curve. And then I'll show you how to add those lovely wrong beads. Wrong beads. Our renovation's supposed to start at the end of the month, so anytime now. So we'll see what happens with the videos. I should do some videos ahead of time because they're going to be tearing apart the wall which is attached to my office. Be like lots of banging and ripping noise. Okay. Let's get the 2 last cubes here. Go back through these 2. That went through the 11-0. So just go through the cube and through those 2 cubes. That. Oh, that's my tail. Okay, I'm gonna flip it. We'll put some 11-0s in here and then we'll call it a day for this part. This is basically the same as the other flat chenilles. should also let you know that John Bead has their website set up, the John Bead Friends and Family, for the curiosity boxes. So you can now order them as a monthly order. So this way, if you know, there's no chance of them selling out if you have a monthly order. So and I'm going to be doing a video, a very quick video soon, to for a giveaway for the last curiosity box. And so, you know, keep your eye out for that. Definitely be lovely to get a free curiosity box as a thank you to. I bought some when they were released, and before I knew that they were going to send me one. So that's why I have some extra. Don't tell my wife. I told her they sent them to me. I tell her that when she sees packages coming in the house. Like, no, that was the company sent me those. Oh, she doesn't, I'm more nervous about it than she is. The one time we were talking about it and I said, you know, I feel bad that I'm spending so much money on it and stuff. She's like, well, you have the money, it's your money, just, it's up to you, and if it makes you happy, that's all that counts. So then she went and took me to Michael's and actually bought some beads for me. That was funny. We had the cashier laughing because the reason I had her do it is I wanted to use a coupon twice, and you can only use a coupon once at Michael's. For one purchase in a day kind of thing. So I had her go behind me with, and all we had was like one bottle of beads. John Beads, of course. And I think what happened was the cashier asked me if I wanted to use the same credit card for hers. So she totally made us that we were a couple. And secondly, she knew what we were doing, putting it on the same credit card. So then I was like joking, saying, yeah, that's pretty good when you have your partner come and buy beads for you. And Jen's like, yeah, I'll never live this one down. The lady was laughing. So we'll finish this seed bead situation. So I'm putting the 11 O's in between the cubes. And you can see it's curving. I'll show you a little closer. So you can see it's curving nicely, and it'll curve even more as you get going. Okay, so we'll put that aside and I will show you. Let's put these lovely beads back in the containers. Usually I just like scoot them off to the side. After the video, I'm like picking them out because I can't have them mixed. I did wrong. So let's do these guys. Okay, so I'll start with this one because we can finish this, and I'll show you on the white one. We'll put the silver clasp on this white one. So to start with, if you're working on the other, so when we start, you may not have the, let me show you here. So if this is your stop bead, this is your stop bead. This is what your end is going to look like. Now for this attachment, what I want to do is I want to finish these beads with an 11/0 seed bead in between the cubes. So you're going to take your stop bead off and you're going to weave in as if it's the next row. So if you did it this way, right, you're going to weave, you're going to put a seed bead here, seed bead here, seed bead here, 11/0 seed bead here, and you can then weave your, sorry about that, that was off screen. So you're going to put seed bead here, in between these cubes, and then weave your thread in. Now I did that already for this one, like that, and actually I left this loose because we're going to use it to add seed bead in between here and in between here, and we're going to attach the little clam shells. So these, I think I want to call them not they're to hide your knots. If I can figure out the name of that, I'll put it in the description. I'm sorry. Too much in my mind here. Let me grab a needle and put this on. Okay. So what I did was I wanted to center it. Because we have 5 rows, my hand back there so you can see better. So we have like 5 sets of these, and this clasp is a 2 loop. Now if you had a 3, it would work out evenly. You wouldn't have to add any seed beads. You could attach them here. But for this one we have 2, so we're going to put, if you think this third one here is your middle one, so we're going to put a seed bead here and a seed bead here, but in doing that we're going to put it through the holes on here so that they're hidden behind, and that's going to hold those little clams on there. So we're coming out of this cube, so I'm going to make my way up into here. So let's go down this. I used a big needle. I think we need a smaller needle. Yeah, this needle's too big. It's probably a big 10. There. So I'm using a 12 for this. In here. This is better. Go through like that. And if you're concerned, because this thread was the thread that was attached, you can put a little half hitch knot there and go through, but I think we're fine. We can do it at the end. So now what I want to do, because remember we want a bead here and a bead here. So I'm going to make my way up through here and then through this cube. So now I'm going to go through everything. I'm going to go through the cube. Yeah, you definitely need a bendable size 12 needle for this. There. It's nicely bent now. Things that bother me. Bent needles. People mowing their lawn when I'm making videos. They got a lot of nerve. Living their lives while I'm doing videos. So let's go through here. So you can go through the 11/0 seed bead as well, or you can just cross to the next cube. I'm going to go. So now this is where we want to be. Okay, so now we need, I thought I put a couple of beads out here the same color. Yeah, I did. There's 2 seed beads. So, almost goofed. So you got to go through the clamshell first. Now, you can decide which way you want your clamshell to be. If you want it this way and have this part showing, or go this way. Now, I think I discovered that the better way to go is this way, because I'll tell you, sometimes when you squeeze these together, they don't quite match up, and this little shell was a bit lower than the other side. That's like so minute. So let's go through here, and we're going to add our seed bead like that. You're going to go skip going through the seed bead now. Let me just move it out so you can see it. So there's your seed bead. You're going to go back through the hole like this. So now that seed bead is holding. There's a little pearl inside. You could put them white. That would be hilarious. Nobody'd ever see it, but I would know. And look, just bring it up to there. So now I'm going to go through the cube next to it, like this. And see if I could just go through so I could show you there like that. Now what you want to do is you want to go through it a few times just to be sure that that's secure, as if you were putting a clasp on. So let's kind of come back around and go through it. So let's do this set of cubes here. Through the cubes. That. And then go through the next cube. Sometimes it'll go through the two cubes. Don't know about this. Now let's do one cube at a time. I was surprised how tight these are. I don't remember them being that tight. So back up. Like that. Now I've got one more. Go up this seed bead. I want to make sure that I'm coming out of that. I don't think I need to. Let's do this. Come along here. Now I want to make sure that it's going to sit like this. So on this side I did it tight, and it seemed like it wants to sit in between them this way. So you might want to put it just a little looser so that it can move a bit and find the right position. So now I'm going to go through my clamshell hole, and it went through the seed bead, which is good because that's what I want. But now I'm going to skip the seed bead and go through the hole like that. And then we're going to go to the next cube. So let's get through this cube and through that seed bead. Go to the next cube. Like that. There. We're going to go through the clamshell hole, through the seed bead, bring that down like that. Now we're going to skip the seed bead, go through the clamshell hole, and go to the opposite cube. I'm just going to pull it through first, like that. So now we're going to go through this cube here. And we're going to pull that in a bit so that it sits down in there, like that. Let's bring this over. Go through this cube, make our way around. So we can go through it a second time, and then we're ready to close these up. Okay, go through the cube below. And through this cube. Like that. And don't worry if your bracelet gets a little deformed from pressing on it. It's easy to set it back to the nice curved shape. So let me see where we are. So let's go through the seed bead. Like this. And then we'll go through the clam for the final time. We're just making sure it's nice and loose. Go up through the clam. Happy as a clam. That. There. Go through the seed bead. Like that. And then skip the seed bead and go through the clam hole. There. And to make sure it doesn't hook there. That. And let's go through these cubes again. And I will get a little knot going. Tie it off. So you can see these kind of spin on themselves. So let's go to the end here. Let's add a knot here. So I'm going to just put my needle through here and wrap it around twice. Bring it close to that bead, hold it there, and pull this tight. Put that on there. And go through another bead so that it anchors that knot. Like that. Oh, it's hooked on the... I thought I loosened it. You could close these at a time. I kind of wanted to do it as the final. It's very satisfying to do. There, got it. No, it's still on there. There we go. Pull that tight, sink that in. And let's just put this through here. I'm stunned at how tight this is because it's not really that tight. Ow! I had it through. Let's get it in here. Watch my fingers. And watch my line doesn't get hooked again. That's it. Look at this needle. Cut your thread. And take a look. So now what we are going to do is we're going to close these up. So I'm just going to take these and do it a bit at a time so I get them nice and even. Close up. See what I mean? How it's, you kind of have to play with them a bit. So you might want to have the hook part, and these turn, so this time because I did it a little looser, but they do want to sit sideways. But let's get this one closed up. That's pretty good. There. Now we have to close these as well, but we're going to close them onto the slider clasp. That. So I used my round nose pliers, and I just grabbed the tip and did a little curl with it. So, like that. And if you're not happy with it, just do a little squeeze to make it a little more nicely rounded. There. This is lovely. Isn't that amazing? These are so beautiful. And here's your, open this. There's the clasp. Like that. Ta-da! I have to remember to put the bracelets on, because when I do, I get a lot of awesome comments, and it does look different once it's on. So let me close this so you can see what this looks like. And look at how easy it is. This is amazing. Ta-da! Oh, yeah, this turned out amazing. So I think we'll leave the white one for another video to attach, since that was a little more difficult than I thought with all the tight needles. So there we go. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you in the next video.